In just 4 years, FTX grew from nothing to a $32 billion cryptocurrency empire. Sam Bankman-Fried, the boy billionaire, seemed unstoppable, until November 2022, when everything exploded in one of the most catastrophic financial collapses in history. In a matter of days, $8 billion in customer funds vanished. Today, we're exposing the shocking truth behind FTX's rise and the dark secrets that led to its apocalyptic fall. Meet Sam Bankman-Fried, born to wealth, educated at MIT, and destined for greatness. Or so everyone thought. In 2019, at just 27 years old, SBF founded FTX in a cramped apartment in Hong Kong. But this wasn't your typical startup story. SBF had a vision that would change crypto forever, and he had the audacity to believe he could pull it off. What nobody knew: the foundation of his empire was built on a horrifying lie. FTX wasn't just another exchange, it was revolutionary. With lightning-fast trading, lower fees, and products nobody else offered, FTX became the darling of the crypto world. Celebrities lined up to endorse it: Tom Brady, Shaquille O'Neal, even Gisele Bündchen. They plastered FTX across stadiums, sports arenas, and Super Bowl commercials. Everyone wanted a piece of the SBF magic. But behind closed doors, something sinister was brewing. Sam Bankman-Fried cultivated an image of a nerdy, benevolent billionaire. He wore shorts to investor meetings. He played video games during board sessions. He donated hundreds of millions to charity. Or so he claimed. The media loved him. Business leaders idolized him. Everyone wanted to know his secrets. But this carefully crafted persona? It was all smoke and mirrors covering up a labyrinth of fraud. By 2021, FTX was valued at $18 billion. By 2022, it had soared to $32 billion. SBF's net worth exceeded $26 billion on paper. He was the world's youngest self-made billionaire. Venture capitalists threw billions at the company. Hedge funds partnered with them. Governments sought their advice. Nobody dared to ask the one question that mattered: where was all this money actually coming from? The answer would shock the world. Let's talk about Alameda Research. This cryptocurrency trading firm was founded in 2017 by SBF and Gary Wang. But here's where it gets weird. Alameda was supposedly completely separate from FTX, two independent companies. That's what everyone was told. But in reality, FTX and Alameda were inextricably tangled, with SBF secretly pulling all the strings. This cozy relationship would become the root of catastrophe. Here's what regulators and investors didn't know. FTX was secretly funneling customer funds to Alameda Research, billions of dollars. Money that customers deposited to trade crypto was being siphoned off in secret loans to this allegedly independent trading firm. When Alameda needed cash, they just asked FTX. And FTX said yes. Every single time. This wasn't a business. It was a criminal enterprise masquerading as legitimate finance. SBF personally guaranteed Alameda's trades. He co-signed their loans. He authorized their spending. Alameda burned through billions on real estate, political donations, and venture capital investments, all while FTX customers thought their money was safe in digital wallets. The scale of this operation was breathtaking. We're talking about systematic theft on a scale that rivals the great Wall Street frauds of history. In 2022, cracks began appearing in the facade. CoinDesk published a report questioning Alameda's finances. Then Changpeng Zhao, CEO of rival exchange Binance, announced they were liquidating their FTX holdings. The market got nervous. Customers began asking questions. But SBF remained cool as ice. He tweeted reassurances. He said everything was fine. He was about to discover that you can't lie your way out of an $8 billion hole. On November 2nd, 2022, CoinDesk revealed the shocking truth. Alameda's balance sheet was propped up almost entirely by FTX's own token, FTT. It wasn't real money, it was circular accounting, a scam as old as finance itself. Within hours, the crypto world descended into panic. Customers rushed to withdraw their funds. Banks started pulling credit lines. And Sam Bankman-Fried's trillion-dollar empire began to crumble in real time. But the most damning revelation was still to come. By November 8th, FTX froze all withdrawals. Customers couldn't access their money. Billions of dollars were locked away. SBF claimed they needed a bailout from investors, but nobody was buying it anymore. The crypto community turned on him viciously. Within days, FTX filed for bankruptcy. SBF's $26 billion net worth evaporated, from billionaire to broke in under a week. But he wasn't going to face justice alone. Investigators began examining FTX's ledgers and found something absolutely horrifying. SBF wasn't just misusing customer funds, he was using them for personal enrichment on a massive scale. Penthouses in the Bahamas, political donations to both parties, venture capital investments, real estate speculation, stock buybacks to prop up his own wealth. Every single rule was broken, every regulatory requirement was violated. This wasn't negligence, it was premeditated theft. But here's the biggest plot twist. Gary Wang, FTX's co-founder and CTO, eventually revealed that SBF deliberately instructed engineers to create a secret backdoor in FTX's system. A hidden mechanism that allowed Alameda to maintain a negative balance, infinite borrowing with no collateral. It was digital embezzlement on an industrial scale. The code was intentionally written to hide this from auditors, regulators, and investors. SBF had engineered the perfect crime. When the full extent of the fraud became public, the crypto community erupted in rage. SBF had stolen $8 billion in customer funds. $8 billion, not from a foreign government or a corporation, but from everyday people, from individuals who trusted him with their life savings, from retirees who thought FTX was a legitimate safe platform. The human cost was staggering. Thousands of lives were upended. In November 2023, SBF was arrested in the Bahamas. Federal prosecutors charged him with wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy, and theft of customer funds. The indictment was 152 pages long, 12 counts, each one potentially carrying decades of prison time. But as SBF sat in a Bahamian jail awaiting extradition, prosecutors were uncovering even more shocking details about how deep the conspiracy went. Gary Wang had already cut a deal. Caroline Ellison confessed, and their testimonies would seal SBF's fate. SBF's parents were Harvard professors and venture capitalists themselves. They had preached effective altruism, the philosophy that you should use your wealth to help others. But their son had twisted this philosophy into a license for theft. He claimed that breaking rules and committing fraud was justified if it made him rich enough to donate money later. This warped utilitarianism became his moral justification for stealing from millions of people. It was ideological corruption wrapped in philosophical dressing. The trial was absolutely brutal. Witnesses testified about SBF's complete disconnect from reality. He would make trades losing hundreds of millions and shrug it off. He believed his own propaganda. He thought he was too smart to be caught. Gary Wang testified that SBF explicitly instructed him to write code that would allow Alameda to borrow unlimited funds without collateral. Caroline Ellison testified that she knew they were breaking the law but went along anyway. It was a masterclass in white-collar crime. Throughout the trial, one detail kept resurfacing: SBF's complete lack of remorse. He didn't seem to understand why what he did was wrong. He felt entitled to the billions he stole. This wasn't a case of someone who made mistakes. This was a sociopathic personality who believed that rules applied to other people. His defense team couldn't argue he didn't do it because the evidence was overwhelming. They could only argue he didn't intend to commit fraud. The jury saw right through that. On November 2, 2023, exactly 1 year after the scandal broke, the jury returned a verdict: guilty on all 7 counts: wire fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. The courtroom erupted. SBF's face finally showed emotion, shock, disbelief. It hadn't occurred to him that he would actually be held accountable. He still believed he was untouchable, but the criminal justice system had other plans. And this was just the beginning. As of 2024, SBF awaits sentencing. Prosecutors are asking for a century of imprisonment, 100 years. They want to make an example out of him, and they have every right to. But here's what keeps investigators up at night. How many other SBFs are out there? How many other crypto billionaires are secretly siphoning customer funds? How many other backdoors exist in financial systems? The FTX collapse was a watershed moment, but the investigation is far from over. The victims of FTX still haven't recovered their money. The bankruptcy court is slowly distributing what's left, but most customers will receive only a fraction of their deposits. Some have lost everything. Retirement accounts evaporated, education funds stolen, life savings gone. These weren't sophisticated investors. They were ordinary people trying to participate in a new financial system. Instead, they became sacrificial lambs to SBF's arrogance and ambition. FTX's collapse had ripple effects throughout the entire financial world. It shattered confidence in cryptocurrency exchanges. It raised urgent questions about regulatory oversight in the crypto space. It exposed how easily billionaires can deceive government agencies, venture capitalists, and the public simultaneously. Major crypto platforms implemented new transparency measures. Governments began drafting cryptocurrency regulations. But the damage was already done. $8 billion of public trust was incinerated. What's truly terrifying is how close SBF came to getting away with it. If Changpeng Zhao hadn't announced the Binance liquidation, if CoinDesk hadn't investigated the Alameda balance sheet, if the code had been more obfuscated, SBF might still be operating FTX today. He might have raised that investor bailout. He might have covered his tracks. The only reason he's in prison is because of a combination of luck and whistleblowers willing to risk everything. The FTX collapse is more than just a story about financial fraud. It's a cautionary tale about unchecked ambition, regulatory capture, and the dangers of idolizing billionaires. It's about how easily we accept claims of genius when someone is young and wealthy. It's about how thoroughly a con man can deceive the entire world. And it's a reminder that no one, no matter how smart, how charming, or how philanthropic they claim to be, is above the law. This is the complete story of Sam Bankman-Fried and the FTX collapse, the greatest financial fraud of our generation. If you're fascinated by the dark side of crypto, corporate crime, and how billionaires think they can operate above the law, you need to subscribe to this channel. We cover the most explosive financial scandals, the criminal masterminds behind them, and the justice that eventually catches up. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and never miss another expose of the crimes that shake the world.